Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, Almost missed the day, and now I know why 600 was so relevant in everything I was saying. The meter up here, it hit 600 is what it was. That's the kilowatt hours that I've put into the floor. 608.6 in 1 month. Yesterday would have been the actual calendar day for the deal, unless you're talking 31 days, and today's the day. Or you know what I'm saying. But it's right there at the time, 600. That's two-thirds of what the average house, I think, is 2,500 square feet, four people. That's two-thirds of what an average house of four, all-electric house uses. So the big question is, was this expense, the PEX tubing and all that, was it worth it? Unconditionally, yes. There's not even a maybe. If you're planning a new house that has solar, this would be the only, like, I couldn't imagine another way to do it, is what I'm trying to get at. That's up to you. I'm not telling anybody how to build their house. I don't want to, get into any of that rat's crap. I'm just saying, as far as this little experiment, where it's using off-grid solar energy from 12 panels, occasionally the 10 in the front when it's super cloudy, like it's been the last week. This last week, well, I should say the first 3 weeks, had you asked me the same exact question, I would say it's holding its own for what it is. It's doing a good job. This last little bit, where it was just super cloudy, cold, everything like that, it's above and beyond holding its own. Is it going to take it through the winter? Probably not. No. Anyways, I like the old ugly Iron Man here burning the wood and all that. I don't want to do without it, is what I'm trying to get at. I just haven't hooked it up yet. It's still in the disassembled stage. The pieces are down here. That's probably next project. I do have some hoses coming in for the vacuum, and that is a project that I want to work on to get rid of some of the silt and crap on the floor. But this needs to get addressed, is what I'm trying to get at. I need to clean the ash out of the front and jazz like that. I was out prepping, pulling pumps and straightening up hoses today, and putting away crap that when it does snow, because we're supposed to expect some, it won't get buried and make muck and all that. This is the time, if you got little, like, places that'll make a mud puddle in your yard, make them go away before the crap comes, because then you'll have the mud puddle until spring, or the muck puddle. The water won't hold here, but it'll still be mucky where the tires on the electric. It's electric chair, but it's more like a electric powered lawnmower that you ride when it comes to hauling in the dirt. But I couldn't live here without it, y'all. That's just simple truth. Batteries are exceptional. Both brands are good. They're relatively the same power, just different voltages. The inverters are the same manufacturer, the same model, different distributors. That's why they look slightly different. They perform well. Everything I need them to do is what I'm trying to get at. Someday I'll go up to bigger, but not today. When I do, it'll go up to 48 volt. I'll get the new 220 inverter, 220 single phase, and probably two like this, but small. I don't need big, is what I'm trying to get at. Small split phase, so they work together and make two phase split phase power. And then I'll just put one of these in a box and leave the other one like dedicated to the chicken hut. I'd like to make that like a little chicken factory with all the brooders. I got brooders out here. I got incubators upstairs. I want a new chicken hut that has a heated floor just like this, and all it would be then is a $300 hot water tank, the right element, and a about well now Supply House had these two for the same price that I bought one at Lowe's the last time. Um, I bought two. I just bought an extra one just to have it on the shelf. But it would only take one pump, one the hot water tank, and a couple 100 feet of the PEX tubing to heat the chicken house, whatever temperature you desired. Um, because this, right now, if you can tell by the light, the doors are open. The we're getting we're dumping as much hot air as we can. That's kind of more shut than it should be. Over here are the sticks, the the furring strips. It's not screwed on yet, is what I'm trying to get at. It'd have to get much colder than this. We've been down to 20 degrees ish, 15 degrees some days. Held right through it. We've had cloudy days. Today was really cloudy in the morning. Yesterday was cloudy all day. It's beautiful sun out there right at the moment. Trying to get stuff wrapped up and done. And but the question was the labor, the expense, and all that worth the PEX tubing and the pumps and the heater? Yes, without a doubt. Was this probably not in its current configuration? Yeah, it's worth it. I mean, it's holding its own. It'll hold halfway through the night is what I'm trying to get at. 90 degrees early morning, it'll still be pushing out 90-degree air. So yeah, it's not a failure, but the conduction is not there like it was in prior renditions. I put a small air gap, probably too big is what I'm trying to get at. But I believe I can fix that by sleeving the pipe with just a little piece of sacrificial half-inch. They're 3/4 inch flues, 5 of them, and to slide a piece of 3/4 inch. Slide a piece of half-inch tube, maybe a foot long, up inside each one, and they'd just be sacrificial at that point. If they burn, they burn. They would only get burned at the higher settings. This is a 220 unit, fans, meters, everything is 220, working at 120 to calm the coil down. That's a little bit too much. If it was maybe 160, 165, it'd bring it up to 900 to 1,000 degrees, somewhere like that. It'd be a better working temperature for the unit. It would need to be wrapped in kale wool, all that jazz. But as far as holding the heat with usable heat in the morning, 95 or 90-degree air. Maybe if it was like -10 outside, 90-degree air would be spectacular. Right now, it's not really impressive, but it works. Is what I'm saying. And it's right now. It's off. I got it shut down. It's the end of the day, but don't know nothing else. This I would do different, as I would have one size bigger. So it has 2 elements, run it at 220, and then regulate the voltage to one of the elements to get the through the night temperature that you were after. Just like this, you could back it down, and then this, when it's on, only uses 335 top meter, 340, and that's with the fans and everything. 335 is how much the coil uses, but and that's just the excess is what I'm trying to get at. But like I said, it's the end of the day, and there's no reason to keep running it not the way it is. If it was any colder outside, it would be great, to run it through the night. It doesn't use that much That uses as much power as a electric blanket, and it becomes much hotter. Is what I'm trying to get at. If you left it plugged in, it's gotten up to 135 before. It'll slowly climb. If it had the pieces of tube up inside the flue, like I was saying, that would come down and touch the coil, it would get considerably hotter. Right now, the air is the medium, and it's just not viscous enough. If it was under pressure, well, there's a lot of things you could do to it, but the best, easiest one would just get a little sacrificial piece of copper pipe to slip up inside there. I believe would fix it. I'm not gonna do that right now. I got other stuff to do. It just needs to be laid down, and then the pipes slid in, and you reassembled and tilt it back up. But it is fairly like it's not hard to work on. Put it that way. It's not complicated, nothing hard. It would be an easy test, but it's the doing it part. And I have no anchor in the ceiling to lift it up. I would need to make a crossbar or buy one, from something else. It's not that heavy. It's probably maybe 350 total, including the stainless steel, everything. Sand, concrete, or the sand and the cement, all of it is, but it would need a chain hoist or some apparatus like that to lift it up. You're not going to do that on your own. Maybe with legs, and if you're a He-Man and you want to shit blood for a few days, you could probably wrestle it around. Otherwise, the chain hoist would be, worth a vested interest is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, that'd be my next thing to check. As far as the experiment goes, is running the tubes up inside. I believe it would work better. Other than that, the pump. Yeah, I think I showed you that this morning. It was just because this thing was like at 100 and whatever it was yesterday. It was just cooking a pump. It wasn't actually hot. But I'm glad I did get weird, order them. Because it's like, knowing that they were coming, I got the alert this morning, and it was like, yeah, that's going to be good. That's just better that they're on the shelf. I'm not going to, change them out until one dies. And it's not even growling or making noise. It just, when I was moving around, I was charging the system with water from the other pump and I reached over the top, and I brushed the pump. It was hot, and they're not supposed to. And so that started the whole panic thing, but I hadn't touched this yet. When the second time I reached in, I bumped this. It was like, I think that's probably the reason. It was pretty self-evident. It wasn't much of a secret anymore, is what I'm trying to get at. Okay, guys, but yeah, that's the deal. These pads are 12 by 12, and there's 300 foot of coil in each one, 300 foot of the PEX red. For the radiant heat, the no oxygen one. And yeah, it does make a difference, so do your research and Google that crap. Get the right product. You want the one with the oxygen barrier kind of stuff, so the water don't go bad. And that's the one that can handle like glycol where the other ones don't. So keep that in mind too. Or that's what I was told. I don't know. Or maybe it was that way back in the day and it changed. I don't know. But there are limits. Google it is what I'm trying to get at. Check it out before you just buy stuff. But that's, like I said, that's what I was told. My dad was big into this stuff. And what little bit that I retained, it is probably an embarrassment to how much he knew. He really was big into this kind of stuff. I wish he would have lived long enough to see what PV has done to this idea. Every house we ever lived in was heated with radiant heat floors. The driveways were heated. My dad did like shovel snow. He did for other people. I mean, that was the crazy part. He would do like clean people's sidewalks, their driveways, all that kind of stuff. Shovel stairs for old people. He did it for other people, but himself, his sidewalks were all heated. The driveway was all heated. The night before a storm would come, he'd turn that stuff on, and the system, the glycol in the system would start circulating, and it was just enough to keep it from making a mess. I mean, not just clear of snow; they were literally dry in the next morning. It was crazy. I mean, he really, really, really believed in this stuff. Like I said, I'm probably doing an embarrassment to his knowledge, but I'm doing the best I can. Is what it is. But for being out here, is this going to make like this winter much easier on wood? Yeah, it definitely saved me like better than a rick. At least minimum a rick of wood so far. I'd said a rick earlier, and I really didn't need it because that thing doesn't burn like that much wood. But by now, yeah, it would have been a full rick that it saved. And it saved it in the spring as well. So that's like 2 rick out of maybe 2 cord. That's quite a bit, is what I'm trying to get at. Some people burn much more than that, This one probably didn't even burn that much, to be honest. Last year, it was, I'm trying to look back, probably last year I burned 2 big rick, but this floor over here was working. It was just the other side that wasn't. With both sides working, it's much better, is what I'm trying to get at. This has been a long evolution. I tried propane. I tried other things. Propane is okay, but it's like a wet warm. It's hard to explain. This is an extremely dry warm, the way the electric and the hot water, the floor, and the propane wasn't for what, and it was very expensive, very expensive on the gas. This is the wasted leftover voltage or the PV power, solar power. The if I didn't do this with it, it wouldn't be stored because my batteries are only so big. I need like much bigger batteries. I'd like to get 2 big 48s, the MB56 48-volt cells, big battery. But yeah, the floor is literally acting as the battery, as a thermal battery, to the tune of 608 kilowatt hours of energy. So has it worked? Unconditionally, without a question or a qualm, anything like that, yes, it has. The only glitch that I've had in it is I got an air bubble in the system. The way I do it, the hose doesn't always stay charged, and it'll get the air in there, so it forces air into the system. Then I have to re-bleed out, over the next day or two. That's why it's still on. But it's clear of air at the moment. That's why you don't hear there's no crackle sound. But it's just something you got to do. Or there's other stuff you can add into the system that this one doesn't have. Expansion tanks, accumulators, stuff like that. And when you put the right stuff into the system, then it don't do that either. You don't got to go through all this. This is just my way of doing it on the cheap for right now. I want to put the expansion tank on this, especially if I got the bigger tank with the 2 elements that would be burning 220. This right now, it can only do what it can do, and that's barely above the temperature it's showing. By the end of the day, that might read 108. That's it. That's all it can do. The floor just sucks the energy out of that much energy. Out of the 2,000 watts that's going into the element, it's giving everything it has. There's no more to give. And even if it was, the temperature and the deal we'll shut it off at about 115. But it's never got that high, is what I'm trying to say. So, all right, guys. Again, was it worth it? Unconditionally, without, yes, it was. It was worth every amount of effort. It was worth the cattle panels that we put down to zip tie the plastic tubing to hold it. There's a lot of other products that you can do, but we used the cattle panel over the top of the insulation board. It beautiful, and I'll give you another update later on. But so far, 1 month in, knowing exactly how much it's stored, that's ecstatic. I can't put that in words. I could never have a battery that big, is what I'm trying to get at. To use that much energy in any other form to heat the house as well as it's being heated, it's just crazy is what I'm trying to get at. Let's see if I can. Right now, just the surface temperature of the wall is 88 degrees in here, 89 degrees. It's phenomenal. Does it work? Yes. It would be better if I had an HVAC to suck the hot air out and dump it or do whatever, but I don't have such a thing. I just got to open up windows and doors and stuff like that. But it's definitely like a hot or like a midsummer day. It's not cold yet. The fall has not. The fall hasn't gotten to this little piece of the Highland Desert. Not yet. All right. Talk to you then. Bye.